All right, well, listen, let's get this started up and get it rolling. You know, here we are again. The agent, the business playbook mastermind, we got everybody rolling here. We got the ROG, it's his birthday. You know, he turned 30 years old today. He's like a fine wine out there outside of Philly and making it happen. So that's great. Let's see who else is on here. Dave Luxury Lawson's on here out there in Park City. He just got off the slopes. He was skiing down, paralleling right to his office. He skis in, skis out. I know that. You got Randy on. He's probably off on some beach, you know, feeding the baby and dealing with investors. And Brian's still up there in Montana. Look, the river runs through it. He's ready to go. Bobby's sponsored by a new hair product. Matt isn't, but Bobby is. And Matty B's there in his corporate office, and Dennis is there with a bunch of listings and sales to the left and a guitar. I don't know if the guitar is a prop or it's actually played. I know that Mitch plays the guitar a lot, and he's not on right now, but I know he's with us in spirit. So who wants to kick it off today? Bobby, because you're having a good hair day, I think you should kick it off. And let's talk. Well, now you froze. I don't know if this is part of the hair promotion with the products or something, but we have to have you kick it off today. And Dennis, why don't you share what our topic is today to help everybody in this market?
Yeah, today we're working on referrals and what everybody's doing for referrals. So I can kick it off, Pete, if you want.
Go ahead, kick it off.
So referrals are a big thing. We're all going to weigh in on this, but you know, one of the big things that we do is we don't ask for referrals, which most agents do at the end of the transaction. I think it's really important to, you know, as you move along in a transaction, maybe when you get the accepted offer, right? Ask for the referral because they're excited. During a transaction, during an escrow, some things can go wrong, right, guys? We all agree. So, you know, it might not be rosy smooth at the end. So you kind of want to ask for referrals sooner than later. That's my opinion. We send a card. We give these guys a card like this. It says we're growing our business. It's a raving fan card. Okay. On the back, it has this right here, and I could probably get this PDF somewhere. And we basically just hand this to the people and say, Pete, this was a great transaction. You know, I loved working with you. And, you know, our business is built on referrals. So just want to ask you, do you know anybody that we can help out right now? And usually say, well, I might be thinking about somebody. Say, great. Well, if you know anybody, if you could just write them down right now, I'd love to just reach out to them and just provide the same service that I gave you. Okay, so literally, instead of chasing them around for a referral, you get it right up front on a sheet. This thing works awesome, like so good, right? Because they'll actually write down people right then and there. So,
well, make sure you find that PDF, put it in the chat so that everybody has access to it, or put it on the tribe website too.
Dennis, do you mail that to your?
No, we hand it to them right when we're speaking to them. Like I'll literally just hand it to them and ask them if they know anybody. And then when they say, yeah, we might know somebody, say, great, just jot them down on the back. Even if they don't have the phone number and all that, they have a name. It gives me a chance to follow up with them, right? Instead of asking them later, calling them a month later, how's it going? You know, asking for the referral, you kind of getting it right up front. So this has been a jackpot for us for getting referrals.
And you have your own credit card company? Is that what it is? Do you have your own card?
No, that's just a graphic, right? Yeah,
I know.
I wish. So the other thing, guys, is when somebody gives you a referral, this is a common mistake that some agents do, is when you get a referral, don't give the person that gave you a referral like some kind of like little gift after the deal closes. Okay. Because what goes through, if Matt gives me a referral and let's say it doesn't close, I don't give Matt anything. Matt's thinking, oh, geez, if Dennis gets paid, I get something for doing that hard effort. So what we do is as soon as they give us a referral, we give them something of value, whatever it is, $100 gift card, whatever you decide to give somebody for giving you a referral, give it to them right when they give you a referral, whether it works out or not. If it's a listing and you don't get the listing, still give it to them, because basically you're training them to give you a referral. Like they're rewarded when they give you something, not when your greedy realtor makes money. You know what I'm saying? It's just the psychology behind it. So that's my 2 cents, guys.
No, I like that a lot. I like that form. I think that's very effective. Dennis, have you ever tried asking for the referral at the initial strategy session?
No.
Okay. That works too, or you can pre-frame it at that and say, I want to take care of you first, but I want you also to keep in mind, maybe there's 3 people you could refer to me once we get your offer accepted and get it closed. And you just kind of map it out, because there's always different points you could do that. Another thing you could do, Dennis, is offer them, the card I'm talking about, that you can buy those cards where it looks like a credit card. It has your branding on it. The name of it is slipping my mind, but you get 2 for 1 at all the local restaurants, movie theaters, and things like that.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Entertainment used to be called like the entertainment book or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's very similar, Matt, but I forget the specific name. I'll find it as we go through the session today. But we all know referrals is the lifeline of business, and it's the most efficient way to get business. I'd say 97 or 98% of my business from referral. And the key is just remembering people's birthdays and their anniversaries and when they bought the house and their kids' birthdays and their pets' birthdays, and staying in front of them. That's really, really key. So I want to move from Dennis.
Hold on, Pete, you did a really cool birthday thing real quick where you sent that to me today, customized to my name. That's huge. If you could put the link in there to show everybody something like that, was huge because it's customized to it. I had another agent that made one for all their clients, and they must just use it generic, but it's the whole team singing happy birthday minus the name, candles lit, balloons, confetti flying, but they just send something like that. So it's doing something different for the referrals. But just saying that, I literally saw what you talked about today.
Yeah.
It's little touches, I think, because those little touches go a long way, right? The devil's in the details, and you have to stay in front of people so you're top of mind. I'm going to save the ROG because he's the birthday boy. I'm going to save him for last, right? So he can really get this all kind of rolling before he has that pork chop tonight. So I'm gonna go from Dennis. Bobby was on, but now he's off. So I don't know if he's having a hair issue or what, but I'm gonna go down to Dave, who's fresh off the slopes. He was just carving pow pow in Park City. So if anybody has any luxury referrals, Park City, a lot of people want to go there and ski. Dave's your man. Dave Lawson with the Lawson team. Dave, so talk to me about referrals and some of the methods that you have used that you can suggest to the people that are on this Zoom to up their referrals and to up the consistency of getting referrals.
Okay, so I made some notes here. So before I actually get into it, well, shoot, hold on. You know what? Shoot.
You want me to give you a minute?
Yeah, give me a minute. I got a different file. So
I'm going to go to somebody a little more aerodynamic. I'm going to go to Matt. Matt. Right. So when Matt skis down the slopes, he's very aerodynamic. Matt, when you're doing referrals, and I know you do a lot of buy referrals, and I know you're not bragging. I know you're just applying for a job. But the thing is, how do you formulate it so people want to give you referrals, and you formulate it in a way where it's their idea, not your idea?
So I agree with Dennis wholeheartedly in that we try to get referrals. I've done both when we take the listing or for certain once we go under contract. I think that's a really good point, is not waiting until after escrow closes, because, it's stressful, things can go wrong, and people are always a lot happier when they have an accepted offer, right? And I find psychologically with our clients, not only are they more apt to give referrals at that point, but it also gives them psychologically this feeling like, wow, we hit the finish line, right? We're not really there, but it makes them feel like, wow, just they're celebrating, they're popping the champagne. So we've done a lot of different things the main thing is just asking for it. And it's amazing how many people don't ever ask for referrals, which is why they never get referrals, right? Mm-hmm. But it's also really important to reward people with referrals. One of the things that I do is I give people a gift certificate. I used to do this for the Four Seasons here in Aviara, but it got the prices are now so expensive. So now I give clients a night away. I do this for a closing gift, and I also do it for referrals. I give them a night away we give them a few choices of hotels, but one of them is like the Lowe's Coronado Bay Resort, which is, a nice hotel. It's not super expensive, but it's a nice getaway and it's local. So, and what I've done is just created it's just really an email with a graphic of the, that I got off their website. And what I like about that one also is that's one of the hotels where you can go on there and just buy a gift card, like online. A lot of hotels, and I learned this the hard way, like the what's now the Park Hyatt used to be the park, the Four Seasons Aviara. You have to literally go down there with a friggin' credit card and pay for the room in person. It's really, really annoying. And so, the other thing I used to do is I used to buy a gift certificate for, back then it was probably $500 or $600. And I did this for so many clients for referrals and also at closings. And then I'd go 3 years later to their house to sell their house again. And I'd still see this friggin' gift certificate on the refrigerator. They'd never used it.
Yep.
I'm like, so now I don't buy it up front. I just say, look, we'll make the reservation for you. Just when you want to use this, it never expires. And when you want to use this and get a, night away from the kids or whatever, just call my office and we'll make the reservation on your behalf. And then all we do is just buy them a gift card online, which we can email to them and they're all set. So it's much easier. But I think that's a really nice thing. We do that, like I say, for closing gifts and also referrals, and we customize it. The other thing is if I know somebody's really into wine, I'll buy them. And I have a really nice wine store here in Levenheim, and I buy them a case of wine and they deliver it right to the client. I like to have those delivered to their office if possible, so that all their, coworkers see it and it's a big deal. But, you just have to put a little thought into what these people like, right?
Yeah, and the thought goes a long way, you guys. You got to really be aware of what people like and what applies to them. I had one time where it backfired, where I had a third party put together a really nice closing basket, and the woman put in all types of bath bombs and all these things. And what the agent on my team forgot to mention to me was that the house had no tubs. They were all showers. So that kind of backfired. I had to follow it up with booze, because with booze, you can't lose.
Yeah, but you got to make that. I've gotten in trouble there too. You got to make sure that they actually drink.
Right.
I've given people
Especially in Utah.
wine and
That's
tequila
right.
to find out that they're a recovered alcoholic for the last 20 years and they don't drink.
Oh, that's when you load up on chocolates. They have some kind of vice. You just got to find it. I'm going to go from
Okay,
Matt.
Mike,
Dave's ready to go, Dave?
yeah, I found it. And actually Matt gave a segment that's going to help you guys with something. So one of the things that I used to do is I buy a lot of gift certificates for people, and you know what? Very few of them ever got used. So a guy who I trained for mortgages, who does $1 billion a year, he told me this trick. There's a lot of restaurants that you can go to and you can get 100. Who wants to get 100 gift certificates for a free meal at a restaurant and pay $0? Right? Everybody. So what you do is there's restaurants out there. And so what they do is you go out, you get a gift certificate that you can get from a restaurant. And then on the back, it says, there's a place where it says the date and the amount and whatever, and the restaurant just, we give those out to our clients, and then the restaurant would send us at the end of the month, all the gift certificates that actually get used. And we know that a vast majority of them never get used. So it's a way to offer a huge, amount of value with a very little cost. And then the other thing is
Dave, so how does the restaurant, not to interrupt, how do they charge you then? Do they charge you based on the ones that were used? Because I know you're a fast skier, but you're not that fast. You're not going to ski away from the owner of the restaurant.
No, yeah. Well, I only skied 8 out of the last 9 days on my ski trip, but
Yeah, I'm going to start calling you Jean-Claude Killy.
Yeah.
Do you put a dollar limit on those gift certificates?
Well, no, it's just a free meal
dinner.
at the restaurant, but you can do it so it's a free meal, include alcohol, not include, and most of the restaurants that do this, they're not the restaurants that you're going to have a $400 bill for two people, right? You're going to have $125 bill for two people. And I don't really care if it's 80 or 100 or $125, because you can give 100 of these out and you pay for 2 or 3 of them a month, right?
And
And
cover the tip and all?
no, well, I don't actually know. I just get the bill and I used to pay it. Now I haven't done this for a long time, but let's go backwards a little bit. So I believe that the way you get referrals is by building relationships with people. Now, and the other thing is, where do you get referrals? Are you going to be getting I put it into 2 categories. One is, how do you get a referral from a client or a past client? And I think a lot of you, and you guys have already said it, and Dennis and Matt, right? So you can do that. And I wholeheartedly agree that not only do you ask for a referral, but you also ask for a Zillow or whatever, a review. And I call it in the honeymoon stage. When's the honeymoon? It's right after you go under contract, right? Because, we always say, shit happens. Well, in real estate happens, right? And so at the end of the transaction, they're oftentimes remembering, oh man, it was so hard to get a loan, and now I got to move. And you ask, the worst time to ask somebody is 3 days after, when they're moving. They don't have the time. But let's get back to building relationships. I think this is critical, and I'm going to tell you why. I've been getting almost 1 referral a week. And how do I get referrals? So when you go to conferences, if I'm going to a conference, real estate conference, I don't sit with the people in my office. I'm good, but the people in my office are not going to give me a referral, right? So you always want to be meeting new people, right? Joining mastermind groups like this. When you join a mastermind group and you give value, don't be a taker, be a giver, right? Provide value and think about the abundance mentality. And when we're all helping each other, then that's really where we all win, right? So I always say, pick a subject that you really are good at and train it in offices. So Matt and Diane called me and said, hey, we'd like you to be a special speaker at our sales meeting. I did it yesterday, right, Matt? Yeah, and the thing is you train on a subject that you're really good. And I've done this a couple times in Matt's office, and I've already got 2 referrals. At the end of the training, I said to them, don't ever get off the phone with a client without asking for a referral. And I don't care who you're talking to. It could be a vendor, a lender, a client, a past client. Just put it into your script, if you will. Hey, Matt, it was so good talking to you. I really appreciate it, and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, most or a significant amount of my business is from referrals. So please, do you know anybody? And then they usually say no. And then I say, well, thanks for taking the time to think about that. Do you maybe know anybody in your church group, office, family, or network, or neighbors, right? And then shut up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds, you shut up. And then sometimes they give you one even after they said no. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you, if you want, I do 2-Minute Tuesday trainings. And you can go on my Lawson team YouTube. And what you can do is you can get you can listen to this one, but just recently I did one on referrals. And so it's only 2 minutes, so I'm going to give you some of the highlights, okay? First of all, if you're getting a referral from an agent now, in another network, I got one yesterday. We're listing a $2 million lot in Park City. And the thing is, you can make $1,000 or $5,000 to $10,000 an hour in real estate. Who wants to make $5,000 or $10,000 an hour? And all you have to do is provide value. So we know that we all need to work on lead generation every day if we're going to sell real estate at a really high level. But don't forget that one of these activities has to be on referrals. Like I said, when you're talking to anybody, do it, okay? So, you know, you have an out-of-state buyer. They're moving from Park City to Carlsbad. You need to ask them, you know, a simple question. When are you moving, or what are you looking for? Would you, by the way, do you have an agent, right? And the thing is when people are moving from somewhere, I believe that getting, you know, it's so easy to get a referral by doing that, okay? And the same thing when people are moving out of town. If you sell a house in Carlsbad and they're moving to Park City, you should absolutely be, you know, referring. Of course, I want it to be me, but think of it like this. You know, I believe it's our personal responsibility to help our clients get the best representation possible. And all we have to do is get them in touch with a great agent on the other end. And think of it like this. If you do that and, you know, you help them sell the house in Carlsbad, and then you refer them to me, or vice versa, Matt's going to get the job done. So now they can buy in Park City, right? So those are just basically some of the notes, but if you want to go and hear the whole 2 Minute Tuesday, you can just go, and if you subscribe, you can get on that. But so just remember, getting referrals and getting reviews are two different things. And we need to be doing both of them all the time, and we need to talk to our agents about it. I mean, ironically, this morning at my team meeting, I said, guys, I'm getting more referrals than most everybody on this team combined, and that's good for me, bad for you. That means you're not asking. The takeaway here is you've got to ask. Thanks.
I like that. I like that. Let's go over to Ian, otherwise known as Randy Zimnoch, the Investor Agent Nation. He's leading the charge on the investors. Randy, how do you get referrals from investors? Talk to somebody if they want to get into the investor game, in the flip game or the rehab game, whatever you want to call it. Because I know you get a lot of referrals nationwide. How do you do it? Well, you can't do it when you're muted, but you could do it when you're talking, I guess, unless, are you a professional mime? Mime is money. So go ahead.
All right. Oh, sorry.
I thought that was part of the deal.
Yeah. And so this has actually just happened. So some of you guys know CT Homes, right? This is the flipping company that I used to run, which is still in business here in San Diego. So when I have a flip opportunity, which I did actually in March of this year, I think it was, of last year, sorry. And I brought it to them and they ended up buying it off market. This is how business happens, guys. I talk about this, right? A lot of agents will do deals off market, right? And they go to their trusted investors with those deals, right? So that's what happened here. They ended up giving them a great price. They had another investor offer on the table. We ended up beating them with my investor. I ended up relisting the property. We just listed it last week. We opened escrow. Everything is going smooth. And in the meantime, they said, hey, Randy and Jessica, who's on my team, they said, hey, we have this land listing and we can't come to an agreement with the seller, right? We're doing direct mail. We can't come to an agreement with the seller. Are you guys willing to take this land listing and City Heights for 175,000. We're like, sure, why not? So we listed that property. It was just handed to us, right? Because they couldn't make the numbers work with the seller. They want more of a retail price. Jessica and I listed it literally 2 days ago, I think. And we already have 5 offers on it with 5 people wanting us to represent them on top of that, right? And this just came from us doing a good job with an investor client, right? Because they realized like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. We like them. They brought us the deal. Now we listed it. We got an offer on it. We're in escrow. Everything is going well. Boom, we got a referral. So the point of this is when you start working with investors, don't only focus on the things that, that they are able to flip, right? Ask them, hey, by the way, what else are you doing to get leads? What is your acquisition channel? Are you only working with agents to get those opportunities? Are you also doing direct mail? And whoever's doing the direct mail is the investor you want to latch onto, right? And really go deep on that relationship. Do whatever you can to help their business, right? From doing open houses on weekdays, at their properties, whatever it is, add value to their business, because what you're after is what I just described, the referrals of those retail transactions that they cannot buy. And trust me, they have more of those than the ones they can buy, okay? And most investors don't do anything with them. They just say, oh, well, we can't come to an agreement, so sorry, you might want to just list it on the open market. And they just kind of, that's it, they move on. But if they have someone like you that is in front of them adding value and keeps reminding them, hey, anything you can't buy, please refer me, right? That's where the gold lies. And it literally just happened, like for us. So that's on the investor side. What I will do is I'll put a PDF in the chat, what we do on every time we buy we close with a buyer. We have a very quick, simple process for all our buyer clients, which I know many new agents, that's where you start, right? It's usually you close your first few transactions with a buyer. It's rare that you actually have a listing when you're getting started, unless you're part of a team. So just if you start creating good habits right from the beginning with one client and then keep doing it, you'll be able to duplicate it when you have 100 clients, right? That you've closed deals with. So my process is very simple. I'm going to put it in a chat for you guys. So at the time of closing, we deliver the keys, of course, and we give them a gift basket that's custom to them, right? So the goal for you as an agent throughout the process of escrow, you want to get to know your client just to see what they're into, right? So we don't make the mistakes that Pete mentioned, or I think Matt mentioned, right? They give them booze and then they realize, oh crap, this guy doesn't even drink. Right. So it's almost like you're a bit of a detective, right? Like start learning about your client. What are they into? So it's almost comes as a surprise when they receive something that's so custom to them. And they probably forgot that they even told you something about that they love fishing. And all of a sudden you're getting something them that's fishing related, right? In their buyer's gift basket. So those always like make a cool moment at the day of closing when they get something that's so custom that they're like, holy cow, you really know me. So that's number one. And I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. And then I email them. Well, also at the time of closing, after it closes, we also say, hey, we're going to email you a few websites where if you can maybe put a review for us, is that something you are okay with doing? So I always ask for permission, right? And because the moment they say yes, and they always say yes, right? Because they're excited, they just bought the house. They always say yes. I will hold them to it, man, until they freaking tell me to stop emailing them. And no one ever told me to stop emailing them or texting them. So I will sometimes email people, honestly, no kidding, for a year. Now I spread it out, right? On the beginning, I will email it within a few days. Then I do it. I check in with them a couple weeks later. Then I spread it out over a month, but I will not stop. And I'm telling you guys, it gets to the point where they start emailing me back saying, oh, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry, Randy. We've been so busy, life, blah, 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 whatever. Everyone's got a million excuses. And I'm like, hey, no big deal. If you have a time this moment, like it could be one sentence, no problem. And I'll get it. But it could be a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months later with some clients. So I do not give up, right? Because they said yes. When I asked them, they gave me permission. So I will hunt you down, man, for that review because they're that important to me. And then I send them a quarterly market update. So every quarter I send them a market update, and I'll show you what that looks like because then I post those on my website. I add them to HomeBot, right? So HomeBot will then automatically email them once a month about the value of their property. Okay, so now they're engaged, and I actually can see who opens my emails and stays active, which is cool. And then on the anniversary day of the closing, we send them a basket, 25 to 30 bucks, reminding them, hey, by the way, it's been a year since you owned your home. Congratulations again. We hope you're creating awesome memories. And then we follow that up with a phone call. When we know the basket was delivered, so it's top of mind, right? So we follow that up with a phone call, see how everything is going. Again, congratulate them on the anniversary, ask them how things are going, whatever they need, and remind them about the importance of putting their property in a trust, which most people in California still don't do, which freaking shocks me. Because if you know anything about California, if you pass away and your house is not in a trust, it goes through probate and it sucks, right? Your client is then the family is throwing away thousands of dollars to attorneys just to have authority to sell the home, right? So we remind our clients the importance of putting their house in a trust, recommend them a few attorneys. So again, value, right? Value. And then we also remind them, like you guys say, hey, our business is built on referrals. If there's anyone, that's looking to buy or sell, please recommend us. We would love that. And that's really our process, right? And then, that just gets repeated, right? So they get it quarterly, they get my email on market updates, which is very detailed. They get HomeBot every month, and then they get anniversary gift every year. So I'll put that in a chat for you guys, so it's nicely clean laid out. That's all I got.
I love it. I'm going to move from Randy. That's great stuff. I'm going to move from Randy over to the real estate professor himself, Brian Yarber. He's in from the white waters of the Montana River, I think. He's been fly fishing out there. And so, Professor Yarber.
Yes.
How do you build a business off of referrals? So if you were tuning in to this mastermind, give me 3 tips, the 3 best tips to get consistent referrals.
All right. 3. I might have 4, but I'm going to give you 3 at least. First of all, I actually took my business in 2007 into a by referral only business model. Been doing this since 2007. The reason is because I found out that I could get more referrals than I can general leads. Because general leads just come in organically no matter what anyway. So if you have a sign in front of a listing, you're organically going to get leads. So I don't work on those. I work on referrals. But the challenge is if you become a Dave Lawson or Matt Battiata, you don't have to say a word to appear to be too busy, right? So if you appear to be too busy, people are going to think you're too busy, and they won't refer you business if they think you're busy. Because, man, he only does $2 million homes. He only does Carl Dad $1 million homes. They're too busy. They won't want to mess around with my little $500,000 condo. And that's a huge, huge hole in most people's businesses, that they organically are losing referrals by becoming and appearing too busy. So you have to be very careful that you don't appear too busy and you let people know I'm never too busy. That's really the script, right? But you can't just say it like a parrot. Hey, I'm never too busy for any of your referrals. That's different than how you say something matters, not what you say, how you say it. So the same question or the same thing should be, I can give you an example. I always have in my back pocket a really good deal in Rancho Santa Fe, Coronado, and Del Mar. I just always have one. The reason is because I know I'm always going to be in front of somebody who knows somebody. So the wealth triangle goes up the ladder much faster than a straight across referral. So if you want referrals from a $700,000 buyer or seller, most of the time they know other people in the $600,000 or $700,000 or $800,000 marketplace, and that's where you can really nurture. Because see, the goal is nurturing referrals, not getting them. We're all getting them all the time. nurturing a referral is different. Because you've all had that. And I can tell you, so number one, when you get a referral, you don't know you're getting it sometimes until you nurture it. Like somebody says, oh, you know what? My friends are thinking about buying a house next year. Great. Nurture that. That's a referral. It came to you organically. A neighbor, anything, at an open house. People will say, oh, this would be a good deal for my friend, Mark and Mary. Hey, is Mark and Mary somebody I could contact, right? You're going to organically be able to start getting these when you're aware of them. So when I took my business all by referral, what I learned is that organically, I'm going to use that word a lot because I did it a lot. A Christmas card, believe it or not, with your picture on it. And I just fell into this, right? So I got into real estate in 1985. I was 23 and I was single. In 91, when I got married and had my first baby, I sent out a Christmas card. I've done that religiously every single year for 30 years. Now I have grandkids in my same picture. My community of clients have seen me grow from single Brian to Grandpa Brian every year, right? Every single year, I get at least 3 or 4 referrals from my Christmas card. Just that alone, by staying in touch with my community, because they see me, hasn't gone anywhere, still in real estate. I've got kids now. I've got grandkids now. I have a house in escrow right now for 1.3 million. It's my 7th transaction with this one family that I met with my Christmas card, because I've just stayed in front of them. I'm never too busy to help them. I answer my phone call. I always answer my phone call with anybody who's in my contacts that I know are past clients. Because if they're calling me, typically they're calling me with business, right? Sometimes it's a fire I have to put out, but it's still business. And even when you're putting out a fire and you think something's going south, you're never too busy to help them or their friends or their family, right? We know that script. We know where that came from. We've heard it 100 times from coaches and things like that. But you need to adopt that script. So going up the wealth triangle, here's what I always did. No matter who I was talking, I'd say, hey, Pete, I consider you somebody that knows a lot of good people. And I've got this property. I'm excited about it because I went and looked at it and I just know it's a good deal. I know a good deal when I see a good deal. And I'm just curious, who do you know that you consider wealthy that might be willing to actually buy a high-end property for income producing? Like this thing is so good of a deal that I think you could rent it or renovate it in this community. And I'll just throw out the neighborhood, it's in the Covenant, it's in Coronado, whatever. And I just want to know, who do you know that you think would want to know about that property? And get quiet. And what I learned is when I say, who do you know that's wealthy, you'll introduce me to somebody that you consider wealthy. And typically what I learned was they're not the buyer, but they thank me for touching base and showing it to them. But then I say, well, then, Pete told me, hey, he thought you might be interested in a home in the Covenant that's a fixer. But let me ask you, now that I'm talking with you, I didn't want to waste your time. I'm going to bring you a really good deal. If there's ever a good deal, what would it look like? And who do you know that you might consider wealthy? I sold a $7 million house this way with 2 questions from somebody at a lunch, just by asking for, hey, who do you know? Who do you know? And this kid actually said, well, you know what? My parents live in Greenwich, but they're kind of considering a high-end home in California. Great. I mailed him 2 Dream Homes magazines, mailed them to his parents. His parents called me. Hey, Brian, we got your magazines. There's 3 of them in here we're excited about. Could you line them up? $7 million house sold, right? It's that easy, but you have to be very intentional and you have to nurture. So the wealth triangle goes up the ladder. So go after referrals that you can nurture in the high-end market. Go after referrals that are organically coming in when you least expect them, but you're not asking for them directly. You're just asking for them like, hey, who do you know that might be excited about a property in this area? Who do you know? It's just the who do you know? And then obviously, if you reach out to your past clients, you need to share your wins. Don't assume that a person who lives in Alpine, 30 minutes away from San Diego, doesn't want to know you just sold a property in Oceanside. Because if you don't let your community in Alpine know you actually sell property or in Oceanside, which is almost an hour away, they're going to go, wow, our kids are looking, my son's in the military, he's moving to Oceanside. And all of a sudden I'll get calls from my community that I'm sharing wins with, all because I sold a condo and I didn't even do it. Somebody on my team did. And use your team, leverage that, and always share your wins with your community. So if you're selling property, I just sold a house in Texas. I let all my other clients know, hey, we just closed a deal in Texas with an investor. And I got like, Brian, what are you doing selling property in Texas? Oh, I helped a buyer that I know go buy a property. I represented him with the listing agent. We went direct. I do this all the time. Randy and I have listed and sold property in Stockton, California. That's 8 hours away, all because we're never too busy to help them. Those that 2 or 3.
I love that. So, I mean, Brian, let me ask you this. How many times do you make those types of calls?
I don't have to make a lot of them, Pete. I probably get 2 or 3 a month touches from people just calling me like, hey, Brian, our kids need a house, or, hey, I'm just consistent with being in front of the people that I know refer me. And I'm not like, don't do as I say. I mean, do as I say, not as I do. Sorry,
Yeah.
because I'm a victim of my own busyness, that I can get to a point where like, oh man, I stop. If you're not in the market, you're in your deals. So when you're in your deals, your market shuts off.
Yeah.
Right? So trust your deals with the team and stay out of your deals and in the market. And my wife used to tell me, Brian, you need some escrows, go preview. She just knew me. So every time I go preview property, I end up with 3 or 4 phone calls to my past clients, and I just do this and I get referrals right away. It's because a property is top of mind.
Yep.
So if you can just exercise being in the market intentionally, like Randy was saying, I can guarantee you that you'll lose more business than you'll get if you're not nurturing your referrals properly. And nurturing them doesn't mean they have to buy tomorrow. It just means they're gonna buy or gonna sell, and you just need to be in front of them without hounding them. That's my approach. I don't hound people. I'm very professional about how I go about it. I just say, hey, Pete, how's things going with your goals? I know you guys had that investment property in Lake Arrowhead you were thinking about selling. Is this the year? You guys going to hold on to it for a little longer? I'm just gonna
Great questions. Great questions. So that's awesome stuff, Brian. And remember, guys, don't ask closed-ended questions. Ask open-ended questions. Hey, can you tell me about that? Can you expand on that? Who do you know? Not do you know anyone? So that was great stuff. I want to go from Brian over to Elvis himself. He's wearing blue suede shoes. He's got the best hair in the business. Bobby Martins, he's always moving up. Bobby, so I want to give the ROG his time because it's his birthday. So I'm giving you 5 minutes to give me your best referral sources and how you consistently get referrals. So if you had to give
all right, let's do this.
Go ahead.
So this is a topic I could talk about all day, but first I need to thank my sponsors for sponsoring this segment. This is Bedhead. This will give you body without the grease. Okay, so thank you. Now that we got the business out of the way, let's start talking about referrals. So first off, you got to make sure that you are someone that is worth referring, because think about it, you're asking people out of their way to help you. So if you're someone that is flaky or unreliable or really don't provide any value, then why should you get that referral? So that's the first things first. Then you got to teach your people, all of them, your friends, your family, your past clients, new clients, how to refer you. I always tell them, just do a quick text message introduction. So that way I can get their information, their name and phone number, and then I will start a different chain with that person, set up a call. So that's the professional way to do it. If it's email, if it's hard, if it's, if they really got to go out of their way, it's going to take a while, or they give them the number and you never hear from them. So make sure you don't have that happen. Also, let everybody know we're not just local anymore. You know, EXP is all about global. I have agents that I'm working with all across the country that I've partnered with. So I have an amazing crew that can help you with anything you need anywhere. So that's an important thing. Love the mailbox money. All right, I broke this down into 5 simple categories. I'm going to race through this because I want to give Craig his time. So first is marketing. Everything that you do marketing wise is a reflection on you and your business and your unique selling proposition. So you can make all the calls in the world, but when they go to check you out online and they see you have zero reviews, oh, someone's calling me. Sorry. See that you have 0 reviews, or you have bad reviews, you're not going to get that business from that person. So you're going to get a lot of referrals, but you're going to have trouble closing. So make sure your marketing, your social media, your reviews, all of it looks nice and crisp. All right. So now next is agent referrals. So you want to make sure you're putting yourself out there, just like you heard earlier from Dave. But here's one little trick. Reach out to state brokers from each state that is, for example, if you're in Florida and you got a lot of Californians, you probably should be calling the California state broker to let them know who you are, what you bring to the table. So get to know the state brokers in your company, because that's something that I get a lot of referrals from our state broker here in California. She always tells people to give me a call. Sorry about that, Pete. Next is business to business. So your vendor list, you want to make sure you're networking. If you're not in a BNI, join one. I've been in one for 14 years and made about 150,000 last year alone from that BNI. So now you got new clients. So when you're meeting with a new client, everything starts with that first appointment. So we want to sit down and have a planning session with everybody, and then we talk about the promise. So we kind of go through a list of a bunch of things that we promise to do for them. And in return, we're going to ask that you give us 1 referral by the time we close escrow. Okay, so you want to get talking about referrals very early on. You do not want to wait, because it makes it harder. You also want to have the conversation of, I want to be your lifelong realtor. I don't want to just be your realtor for this transaction. This allows you to have the checkup calls later on, and that leads us into the most important area, which is your past clients. These are the people that already done business with you. Hopefully they like you, and hopefully you did a good job for them. So if you did those things, then it's just a matter of keeping in touch. Now, I suffer from keeping in touch sometimes. I don't like to bother people. So when you call them, just say, hey, look, you know me, I'm not here to hassle you often, but I do want to have a quick check-in call with you. I don't know if you noticed this, but in the last 5 years, your house doubled in value. Provide value to them by giving them that information and then showing them how they can use it, because right now their equity is dead. It's doing nothing. So you got to teach them to pull out that equity, buy that second home, buy a vacation home, buy a 4-plex, whatever it is. And then that's going to really get you business. So those calls are for 2 reasons. You want to get a deal out of that call, then you're asking for the referral. If they're happy with their house and everything's good, they don't want to do anything, just make sure you're asking for that referral, and that's it.
I like that. Wow, you moved fast too. Right through it. It must be the hair gel. Anyways, so I'm going from there to the birthday boy, the ROG, otherwise known as the real estate opportunity guy. He goes by the real estate old guy, but I'm not going to call him an old guy on his birthday. I call him the opportunity guy because he has an opportunity to eat a pork chop tonight. So that's exciting.
It's a veal chop. It's Philly.
Veal chop.
We
Sorry.
do veal
I keep
chops.
saying
And
pork
not
chop.
everybody likes them, but it's what I'm doing. So
Hey, whatever. It's your birthday. You can do what you want. So give me, hey, birthday boy, what are your best techniques to get more referrals? And I know you've been doing this at a high level for a long period of time. How do you leverage that to really benefit your business?
everybody's had great ideas. We can duplicate them all. One of the things is we've gone to our clients and we want them to call us for referrals of other businesses. If you need something, call us. We're connected to everybody. We can tell you how to get them. Then we connect them with the person, kind of like where Bobby did with the client. We're connecting that other referral person with this client of ours, because now it's an obligation. They're like, oh, they're referring people to me. It's like they're giving. Don't look for it right away. don't make it that it's an obligation to it. Go out there, let the universe come to you, but go out and refer it and let the people know and how you're connecting. So that's number one, what we're doing. Number two is something we started about 8 months ago, is really starting to work. We're going out, we're using videos. Every store that we go to, we're doing Google reviews on their store. Every store in our area. Now, all of a sudden, people that didn't know us are now seeing us because we're on their page. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying, oh my God, we're seeing you everywhere, Craig. And if you can get the owner or the manager in the picture with you and you post it with the review, all of a sudden, your ratings within Google goes way up. So we're giving reviews from other businesses that hopefully people are going to see us on their page, gives us credibility, which then makes them come back to our page. So we're just living in abundance, making other people look good. Ultimately, it'll make us look good. Those are the two things. And I'm done. I dropped the mic.
Hey, forget about it. He's going to give a review tonight, a Google review on that veal chop. I'll tell you that much. Look, he's got the Sopranos right behind him. He's connected, folks. Truly
Good
connected,
cigar.
if you know what I mean, for his birthday. But I think that's the key thing. You know, what I've always said to people is, don't be a secret agent. Be out there and be in front of them and be involved in their lives. Even if you have to send everybody just quick text today, you guys. And there's a app called Hit 'em Up, and you can make groups in this app. It's called Hit 'em Up. It's free. You can download all your contacts in there. You can make certain groups and just send out a quick text that says, hey, I've been thinking about you and your family. How's your real estate portfolio looking? Are you diversified? How's everything going? Just want to remind you, I'm connected everywhere. I have contacts everywhere, and I know all the best opportunities. That's it. And see who reaches out to you, because people are constantly trying to get ahead, and everybody, and if you live by this principle that everybody's doing the best they can with what they have, right? People aren't just trying to ignore you. You have to be referable, and you have to be the go-to contact. That's the key thing. Brian has his hand up. Go ahead, Brian.
I just wanted to bring up something. Randy and I used to do this religiously, and I think everybody has an opportunity. If you know somebody who's in an HR position at a company, befriend that HR person and ask them if it's okay if once a month or once a quarter that you bring lunch to their employees and do a lunch and learn and talk about buying and selling real estate. Randy and I used to do this with Fortune Builders, one of our big clients. And we would have lunches with 50, 60, 70 people where we would just bring pizza and stuff like that. And then I would unpack the buyer consultation, and Randy would unpack more of the investor part. And we'd get all that into 1 hour. And then what we would do is we would set up meetings. We would have just this document that went around the room and just said, hey, are you interested, or you know anybody who's interested? And we would just set up appointments, and we would do these follow-ups. And inevitably, I don't know, Randy, if you ever tracked all that, but we would probably do 3 to 5 transactions from those lunches almost every single time, or line people up and nurture them into deals. So that's a really good way to perfect what you do in a group setting. And it could be 3 to 5 people to start. But if you've got a friend that's in HR, I would try that and see how successful. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, take somebody with you and let a lender do a little bit of the work. And then you do the real estate side of it. But lunch and learns with an HR department will get you much further along in a pipeline full of referrals. And then those referrals obviously become your past clients.
Powerful, because then we were exclusive. Like there was no other agent that they were not allowed to step in that door. It was just us. So you could become the exclusive agent / lender that can continue educating their employee base. But you got to come from value, not like use me and here's why. And like, we don't talk about ourselves. We literally just educate them about the buyer process and the seller process and what they could expect just from those processes if they are thinking about doing either one. And we did it in concise 30 minutes to 1 30-minute segment on buyers, 1 30-minute segment on sellers. We had it dialed in, man.
No, that's great. I love that, because you eliminate the competition. You have to remember too, you guys, really know the gatekeeper. There's always gatekeepers in HR. Know what their wants are, their needs, their hobbies, and how you can benefit not only them, but the people coming in or moving out from their company and the value that you bring. And, you know, there's an old Irish saying, don't ever show up with two arms the same length, which basically means always bring something with you, right? Bring something with you. And the gatekeeper will give you access to everyone. I thought this was a great session. I think referrals is the way to go. Go ahead, ROG.
Before you
Close us out.
close, real quick, Peg put it out here and I forgot to ask this. We put a challenge out there. I know we're over time. 1 minute. Did anybody else make calls this past week? We challenged everybody to 50 calls. I did. Ended up getting 2 people we ended up having consultations with from the 50 calls. Did anybody else do it? If so, put that you did it, yes. And if you've got anybody in the chat, we can reopen it. There's a perfect thing, Pete, to tie into. We challenged everybody last week. Look for some referrals. Hit 50 people on the text that you just said to do, and let's see what comes up next week. But let's just ask everybody off the front, because now we'll have something burning.
Yeah, remember,
600
hit
texts,
them up. Hit 'em
31
up.
responses. Okay.
That's what it's called. Hit them up. That's the app.
And
It
Jenny did.
streamlines that whole thing.
Jenny got two new sphere leads.
There you go.
Here we
Jenny from
go.
the block.
Peg did. That's awesome.
Got one.
All right,
It's
one's
fun.
better
It's
than
fun
none.
fishing like
Let's
that.
go.
Look at the professor. He's fishing all the time. He's fishing for leads. He's fishing for people. He's fishing for fish. That's it. All right. So let's close it out there. Hey, I just want to wish Craig Lurch, the real estate opportunity guy, the best birthday ever. And the
birthday.
We
best,
love you,
I
man.
hope they give you a prime cut on the veal chop. You know that?
There you go.
I'm going to call them, make sure. And
And
I
I'll
just
send you a
want to
pic.
thank everybody for being on. Bobby, thanks for the plug for the hair stuff. I'm getting that today. And, you know, let's see everybody here next week. Let's do this. It's my challenge for everyone. Invite somebody you know that would benefit from this Zoom next week. I want everybody to invite one person, okay? And we're going to have a great topic next week. We'll announce it. I don't want to, you know, announce it right now, but it's going to be extremely beneficial to you and your business. I guarantee you, going into the spring market, we're going to spring ahead on this whole thing. Thank you, everybody. Great contribution. This is how we work it. And
they
we'll
don't
see
have to
everybody
be,
next
they don't
week.
have to be EXP, Peg, anybody.
Anyone.
This doesn't matter what brand you're with. We want to help the whole industry. And think about it. If you invite agents that are not even close to you in other cities or states, you're adding value. And then guess who they're going to think about when they want to refer a client
Yep.
to your area?
Yes.
You.
Be
So
top of mind. That's the way to be top of mind. Let the tools do the heavy lifting. All right.
later.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, guys.
See ya.